Call this meeting to order at 2:23. This is a work session, the Board of Supervisors hearing room, Tuesday, July 25th, 2023. Any item on this agenda is open for discussion. Roll call. Supervisor Crosby?
Here.
Supervisor English?
Present.
Supervisor Judd, I'm here. Okay, members of the public may attend this meeting via Microsoft Teams, computer, or mobile app, and there are some phone numbers, and they're all available. Work sessions are a time for county staff to inform and discuss agenda items with the Board of Supervisors, and public comments will not be taken. So as far as introductions, it's Dan Coxworth. He's our Development Services Director, and he is going to give us a good presentation today that we're going to all love.
It'll be quick.
A quick good one. Okay. Go.
So this is a follow-up work session from the May 9th work session concerning the Miracle Valley Bible College. To reiterate, this property was deeded to the state in March of 2022. It was available for purchase, or the tax lien was available for purchase for 7 years. That did not happen. Because that did not happen, therefore, it was deeded to the state under the care of the Board of Supervisors. As I mentioned, this is a follow-up to the May 9th work session. If I remember correctly, we were waiting on the State Historic Preservation Office, SHPO, to provide a letter or determination of eligibility for the property. And we have since received that. I think what's important is the email in the attachments with my communications with SHPO. That eligibility determination does not obligate the county to move forward with that. We have met our statutory requirements. If the board wishes, they may now place this property on this year's auction. I know the clerk of the board is waiting for this meeting to happen in order to determine whether that property should be made available for auction this summer. The determination of eligibility from SHPO is not limited to the tabernacle. It is for all the structures on the property. As the email mentioned, it potentially is a historic district. It does not compel the county to list it. The choice to designate is completely up to the county, and no further action is required. The county may also, remember my recommendations, proceed with some abatement of the property and removal of those structures. I would say my recommendation is to take a look at the girls and boys dorm. They're in really bad shape. They're fire damaged, to remove those structures from the property prior to auction. But if the board doesn't want to do that, that's fine. Let's just get on the auction and get the property back into private ownership.
I think SHPO is requiring us to do some other things. Is that no? Nope. If we auction it, then it's up to them to comply with SHPO at that point.
They don't have to comply. They can do whatever they want with the property.
You understand? Okay.
There's no comply is not the right word. A determination of eligibility has been made. If they seek that eligibility, there are some grant and tax incentives if it is designated a historic district or historic building, but they make that choice as to whether they want to pursue that or not. The property owner.
But the auction gives it an opportunity to get into private hands that have the best ideas for what needs to be done with the property, right? It also opens it up to anyone, but it would give an opportunity for people to purchase it.
Whoever the highest bidder is at auction will be awarded the property.
Okay.
Regardless of who they are.
Good to know that.
A comment that was made concerned me, and I wanted to make sure that I was in firm footing. So the county attorney, if you would listen for a minute, there was an inference or a statement made this morning that the county would have to, because SHPO has said that it could be eligible for the Register of Historic Places, that we would have to put in our bid. I mean, people would have to bid based on the fact that they could afford to do this, or that they, in other words, there were some restrictions on there. And I'm going, anytime that we put something out, we don't make the determination of whether that property is going to be even usable or not. We're very careful. Any of these properties that are given to us by the state, we say it as is. Up to you what you want to do with it. Sometimes it's an arroyo. Sometimes it's a mountaintop. And in the case of Miracle Valley, for those people who are interested, it's a treasure. But we don't intervene in how that property is used. Is that not correct? Okay.
Supervisor English, that's absolutely correct. There have been a lot of statements made at the various meetings that are incorrect statements and incorrect statements of law. This particular property was deeded to the state, and we're obligated to follow the ARS statutes that govern the auction. And just as Dan Coxworth has explained, ARS 11268, it does not obligate the county to do that, and you do not have to put any special conditions on the auction.
Well, I want to make sure that I understood that because we haven't ever done this with any property in the past, made any restriction, any zoning, well, you got to use it for this, or you can't have it, kind of thing. And I'm going, it's an emotional issue with the people who've been in front of us. Our job here, as I see it, and if I'm wrong, tell me, our job is to get the most money that we can for any piece of property that we have on our list to sell. And that's why it goes to bid. That's why there's no favoritism in it. It's a matter of it's online, you bid on it, and whoever is the highest bidder gets the property. They get to tell us what kind of deed they want, but we make we don't even tell them if there's an access to it or not. We put nothing on it. In other words, it's as is. You look it up. Now, I think we do put online information so that you're not bidding on something you don't know. So that would be pertinent with this property too. But I don't believe that we should be, it's been so controversial that, that I don't believe that we need to try to, I thought in the beginning we were trying to fix it so that it would be a saleable piece of property by getting rid of the asbestos. But apparently that doesn't set well with people who don't want us to do anything on that property right now. And so I thought if we don't get rid of it, then that's going to be a burden on whoever buys it. Apparently that isn't the feeling of the public.
Yeah.
Give us the asbestos,
Right.
We'll take care of it.
And I would rather sell it as is. I'd rather sell it as is if we were to
Supervisor
put it
English,
up.
I think there's been a real general misconception about the property where people think that the property is owned by the county and the county has all of these options that they can do with it. But the county is guided by ARS section 42-18303 because that property was deeded to the state. The county holds it in trust right now for the state. And under that statute, we are required to put it up for auction to the highest bidder.
Right.
And that's okay. And that doesn't negate any of the work that's been done or anything that has been said, any of the emotion attached to it. It doesn't negate that. All this has happened and we can't deny it. But the actual obligation we have is to put it up for auction. And everyone has the same opportunity from what I understand. And we will describe it as Supervisor English said, we will put information on there so people know what they're buying. So
would it be part of the auction of other state properties, or is this one going to be separated out somehow?
As I understand it, it'll be included in the auction with all the other state properties for sale.
I think that would make me feel most comfortable is that we haven't singled it out somehow, is that we put it with the other state properties so that people realize that there's no different requirement.
Yeah, Mr. Coxworth, regarding any asbestos abatement or any further demolition, there will be no abatement, no demolition done by the county prior to auction. Is that correct?
Unless I provided guidance likewise or otherwise from the Board of Supervisors. Okay. But you are correct, sir. I will not move forward with anything. It'll just be placed on the auction. Okay. And
so it says no further action is required at the end of this presentation, and I appreciate that. So unless the Board of Supervisors tells you to demolish something or abate asbestos, you're not going to prior to the auction. Thank you, sir.
Nothing has been done for how long?
We did clean up the back third of the property. There was a lot of illegal dumping on the property. We did get that cleaned up. We were moving on to the next step. Article in the newspaper triggered what we've seen with a lot of people in this room. It's really challenging when we have a piece of property like this. We know it's sensitive to the community. We can't necessarily have a community meeting because we'll get 10 different opinions from 10 different people who have interest in the property. So we've kind of relied on the media to get the information out there, what we're trying to do. When the information was put out there about potentially demolishing the tabernacle, that's what created the uproar. We stopped. We did a work session. And that's basically where we left it. Prior to auction, I don't think it's a good idea that we have the property open to the public to view because it is a dangerous piece of property. It's hard to keep track of people when they're on the property. I don't think the county should be in that position of liability. So whatever due diligence they perform, it's going to have to be without actually getting on the property unless they trespass to actually see its current condition, which is unfortunate, but we'll do our best with the Board of Supervisors to make aware what you're purchasing, either with pictures. We do have a survey of the building materials there with the asbestos. The septic tanks are inadequate. We don't know everything, but we do know that it's going to be a challenging piece of property in its current state to develop or redevelop, unfortunately. But
I think it's nice and generous of you to put all the effort into making the determinations you have. I know you can't know everything, but it's good because don't feel like you wasted any time. We appreciate everything you've done. And it's going to be good for our advertising of it, our listing of it, because we have some information. And obviously we're going to say it's sold as is, and we don't have all the information, but it's good to have some. It's good to put that out there. So
I think one thing we need, if there's any of the press that's listening, that the statement has been made by some of the proponents and people who want us to be very careful about Miracle Valley, is the fact that we are compelled by SHPO to keep it from deteriorating any, because they've made that statement and about the mural and about things. And let's have the county attorney tell us if we have that responsibility to keep it from deteriorating while we're waiting to sell
it. No, do we have some responsibility to keep it from deteriorating while we're waiting to sell it? Do we have responsibility?
Again, we can't go in and do anything, we shouldn't go in and do anything further to take away from it, but we don't have to go to any extraordinary efforts to do any extra preservation of the property either.
Well, they made the implication, not only don't destroy anything, but you've got to preserve it for us. And I don't think that was our perspective.
Now, again, there were a lot of things
that if the press picked up on that, well, we need to be protecting it. We're not going to do that because we don't think that that's legally our bandwidth.
Again, there were a lot of things said at those meetings that aren't necessarily the truth.
Yes, if we were a state agency, yes, there might be some things that we would have to do per statute. We are not a state agency. We are a county. So that was a statement that keeps coming up at the call of the public.
I want to make sure when statements are out there that we try to, adhere to them if they're correct, and we try to rebut them if they're not correct.
I don't have a next meeting on this. Oh, wrong agenda. Maybe I do. It's been a long day. I'm going to find my next. There's my agenda. Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Cogsworth. If you don't have anything else, does the board have any other comments?
I would like to thank everybody that came and participated, even though 100 of them left. They could have been here to help you celebrate. Should have been announced earlier.
Thanks for the Snicker bars.
Yes, thank you for the Snicker bars.
I didn't get one. I don't know. Thank you. You offered.
The next meeting will be on July 27th at 9 a.m. in the Board Executive Conference Room for a special board meeting and possible executive session. And I'm too tired to even adjourn, but adjourn this meeting.